Zombies, vampires, mummies, werewolves, cameos, and giant babies. Anything and everything that you'd expect to see in old school horror has its sights set on you and your neighbors. And they're hungry. Released in 1993 for the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis by LucasArts, back before they succumbed to the temptation of the dark side. Zombies Ate My Neighbors is everything that makes classic B-movie horror films frightening, silly, and fun, all packed together in one extremely challenging, kick-ass action-adventure game. And while not traditionally scary by any sense of the imagination, I don't think anybody's gonna be wetting themselves playing this one. I hope. The brutal difficulty will definitely send shivers down the spines of those ill-prepared for a little bit of old-school challenge. Hey ghosts and ghouls, it's Spooky Spammer D here, and let's say we go save the neighbors. Also, for point of reference, this video will be primarily focusing on the SNES version over the Genesis, as that is pretty universally considered to be the better version, with superior audio and visuals. Though, don't let that completely color your judgment, as both games play exactly the same. At first glance, Zombies Ate My Neighbors is deceptively simple, with no real story to speak of, other than that, well, humanity is completely boned. Wow, art really does reflect reality sometimes, doesn't it? Henson Point, the zombie apocalypse is going on, and this jerk right here, is out grilling. And where are all these babies coming from? Anyway, despite how much all these people deserve to die, it's your job to save these idiots, who are scattered across multiple stages, including neighborhoods, shopping malls, castles, and pyramids. You know, your typical suburbia. But here's the catch. The people you're trying to save aren't always directly within your reach. The game starts you out with 10 victims that you need to save. But luckily for you, most are expendable. But for every victim you let become a tasty treat, there's one less to save in the next stage. Which, sure, yeah, it's kind of funny to see some of them get their comeuppance. But as the number starts to dwindle, and you're scrambling to find those last few survivors, things can get kinda tense. After all, regardless of how many lives you have, how many rocket rounds you're packing, fail to save any victims at all, and it's game over. Because, as I said, getting to every victim is no small task, with each stage acting as a self-contained maze, just littered with zombies, monsters, murderers, and loot that you have to navigate through in order to rescue as many souls as you can. And in order to stand even the slightest bit of a chance, you gotta stock up. Because the game only starts you out with the bare essentials. 3 lives, your squirt gun, which I'm assuming is filled with holy water, and a med kit. But as you traverse each stage, you'll come across different gear to help you out on your way. But even that's not so simple, as like with the victims, some items will be out in the open, completely up for grabs. Some are randomly generated, leaving fate up to RNG, and others will be locked behind doors and other obstacles that require you to use other items to reach. So just like with many other horror games, there is a subtle bit of item management, and you want as much as you can carry. Bazookas, potions, soda, fruit, ice pops, and even dinner plates can be used as weapons. And each, more or less, has its own purpose. After all, why waste tons of holy water on werewolves when the silverware will just one-shot them? And these ice pops, they are the only things that can kill these stupid blobs. And the plates. Oh yes, the plates. They are great for eating food off of. Though all of this gear does kinda have a downside. While Zombies Ate My Neighbors is a tough game, downright brutal even, it's not like it doesn't give you ample time to learn the ropes. Each of the early stages introduces you to a singular new enemy type and what you need to take them down. But as you push forward, stages get downright insane as the foes you faced before gang up on you. And when you have a whole stack of weapons to choose from, it can be kind of hard to find what you need in a pinch. And remember, this is all in real time. And here's where I definitely gotta mention that if you are playing on the Sega Genesis, you gotta get a 6-button controller. Because despite how simple the controls technically are, everyone that I have ever introduced this game to has struggled with them just a bit. Because items are broken up into two categories: weapons, like your water gun and bazooka, and sub-gear. Things like health kits, decoy clowns, potions, etc, etc. And for each, you have a face button that activates them and a face button that cycles through them. So 4 buttons, kind of a must. And you better slow down too, because cycling only goes one way. So if you're rushing to find the item you need, and you accidentally pass it, get ready to cycle through them all over again. Quite the penalty for being completely stacked. And also, again, despite how simple the layout may seem, it's been my experience that people tend to mix these buttons up. And I mean a lot. And does it hurt to see your partner waste a medkit. Especially since the co-op really changes how this game is played. And no, not by making it easier. Think more like Battletoads. Okay, so maybe it's not that bad. When one player bites it, it's not like the other is taken along for the ride. But it's definitely not a game where one skilled player can just carry a newbie. But at the same time, it does reward skilled coordinated players. Because, let's be real here, the combat in Zombies Ate My Neighbors is super simple. You just point at what you want to die, pull the trigger, and that's about it. But don't let that fool you. Players with a plan are going to be the ones that prosper. Like say, have one player on crowd control while the other is using rockets to blow open a path. And that is just one example. But those not in sync aren't going to be so lucky. Running into trouble as early as stage 4, these Jason Voorhees Leatherface wannabes are on your tail. They cut through most walls, and they do not go down easy. So it's best just to hightail it out of there. But if you zig while your partner zags, well, let's just say that the screen doesn't stretch to accommodate you, and one of you are going to meet the business end of a chainsaw. Not helped by one of the game's bigger issues, the collision. Now, I'm just putting this out there, Zombies Ate My Neighbors is a fantastic looking game, one of the best of the era. You wouldn't think bright, colorful, and cartoony would blend so well with old classic horror, but it does. All of the characters and monsters have a lot of personality. The animations are funny and fluid, and it really feels like they are just pushing how far they can take that for kids look. Which is extra funny since this game dropped a whole year before the ESRB rating became a thing. Though it is worth noting that the SNES version is a bit censored, as the slime that drops when you die is blood in the Genesis version. Rounding it all out are the stages, which are varied enough that even the ones that reuse assets never get old. Oh, and hey look, they even put where I work in the game. Yeah, it's a near perfect replica. But as I said, it's the collision that really holds all of these amazing visuals back. You will constantly find yourself getting stuck on edges and corners as you're trying to run away. Doubly so when there's 2 of you trying to make a mad dash. Plus, it certainly makes hitting your mark way harder than it has any right to be. And I mean, just look here. If you are trying to blow open a destructible wall, and you don't hit it right in the center, well, you just wasted a shell. And as possibly one of the game's biggest shortcomings will show you, not having enough gear will definitely spell the end for you. Now, I know I've reiterated that point quite a few times now, but it's not for no reason. As you progress through the 40 plus stages, every few stages, you'll get a password. A short and sweet password. A password that doesn't save your items. Meaning, you're basically just stuck with the bare essentials against the never-ending hordes. Or in other words, you're completely screwed. Which makes the later passwords basically worthless. So if you're gonna have any chance of beating this game, you pretty much have to start from the beginning. And that does end up making the game quite a bit more difficult than it really needed to be. But it's not the end of the world, as stages can be kinda short, and it's just another opportunity to listen to that amazing soundtrack. Oh yeah, we simply can't finish up without first talking about the music. And just like with the visuals, the soundtrack manages to hit that perfect sweet spot between fun and upbeat and creepy spooky. Some of the songs are atmospheric, some are eerie, some are fast-paced, but they are all great and memorable. It all goes together like vampires and steak. and is just another reason why you should definitely check out Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Combine that with its fun and spooky visuals, fast and clever action, 2-player co-op, and the fact that it's gotten yet another re-release on modern consoles, now is the perfect time to grab your water Uzis and save the neighborhood. And while it does have its faults, like janky collision and a weak password system, and is probably a bit too difficult for more casual players, in fact I'm pretty sure it's downright impossible to beat, best I could do was get to stage 39. That being said though, it's not really enough to hold it back, because the ride itself is still a blast. If you love classic B horror movies, challenging retro games, top-down shooters, or just looking for a fun classic co-op, Zombies Ate My Neighbors is right up your alley. Don't let this one scare you away. It comes highly recommended.